I don't know if you know, but I have a team of volunteers who are coaches to me. So I present or build a message, do a bunch of work, and then I sit down with a coach and I preach it to him. This week it was Trevor. So if everything goes well, you can go thank Trevor and give him a hug. If something goes bad, he'll be like, I told you not to say that. 6 weeks ago, I was sitting down with my coach. His name's Vince Fowler. I said, we're doing this series called Detoxification. I preached the whole message to him, like my heart and soul. It's like everything I got, I'm preaching it. And as we're going through it, I can see in his eyes, I'm like, something's not going well here. And at the end of the coach, he kind of takes a moment and he's quiet and he's like, so the series is called Detoxification, right? I said, yeah. But you haven't defined what's toxic. I was like, you're right. Because it's not that simple. Just sit with that for a second. Can you define toxic behavior simply? First week we talked about how certain things that we do get stuck in people's long-term memory. And you'll have to deal with that for the rest of your life. Future you, I put a picture of old me on the screen. Future you will have to deal with those problems for a long time. I told you a story about I tricked Jeff one time. Got him to say yes to something that he didn't realize what he was saying yes to. That stuck between us for decades. Every time I'd be like, hey, let's do this thing, he's like, what are you trying to trick me with this time? So we know toxic behavior are things that get stored in people's long-term memory and future us has to deal with. We know that. But that still doesn't define what's toxic, does it? Next week I talked about bidding, this idea that the core way of creating relationships starts with this idea of a bid. A bid is anything. It's going to be like this. Hey, Mars. Me and my wife do this. It's a bid. You can be like, hi, Kennedy, how are you today? That's also a bid, right? Going in for a hug with someone. Do you ever go in for a hug with someone? That's a bid. The core of relationships, all relationships are built around bids. And the beauty of the Gottman system is they say how you respond to those bids matters. If I go like this to my wife and she just turns away, it's called turning away from a bid. Anyone ever felt that before? I actually had Les. Remember we had people doing these different little kind of games. Les was a little kid. Dad, look at me. And they just turned away and pulled out my phone. And we all just went like this. Oh, that's horrible. We've also seen people where, someone goes in for a hug and someone's like, why do you always do that to me? You come in without even asking? Turning against. So turning towards bids makes sense. That's not toxic. Turning against bids, toxic, probably, right? Somewhat, mostly. Turning away from bids, pretty damaging to the relationship. So can you throw up the definition of toxic for me, Esmond? If we define toxic as this, are actions that get stored in long-term memory of the people we're relating to that ends up destroying the relationship. Turning away from a bid, turning against a bid, will get stored in long-term memory. You will deal with this in your future. Lack of trust, lack of safety. Then Emily came along. She preached this idea of saying, wait a second, but you can look at people, they bid to you, you can look at them and you can see the emotion behind the bid. And if you match the emotion, it will feel good to the person. I'm not awesome at this. The reality is if somebody bids to me using sadness, it's raining today. My natural reaction is to be like, great, we're going to do something awesome in the rain. because I don't like feeling sad. But what happens is that disconnect starts to get stored in long-term memory in the person, and they stop bidding, which means they stop building the relationship with me, which, as we've defined, is toxic. And yet sometimes I miss it. Sometimes we read the wrong emotion. Sometimes we don't want to go to that emotion. Then I showed you guys how we are all, there's a way of looking at the world through a series of boxes. Gottman's called it the emotional command system. I was talking to a friend of mine. His partner is an energy czar. He's like, I can't stop seeing energy czar everywhere we go now. It's like every time she says something, I'm like, energy czar, energy czar, energy czar. Anyone start to realize, wait a second, I tend towards this one, and the people in my life tend towards this one. Gets tricky, doesn't it? I used the Beatles to say, difference doesn't cause damage. How you manage difference, that's what matters. The Beatles, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, were very different. When they harnessed that together, it became a superpower. When they let it destroy them, or tear them apart, it destroyed them. And we lost the Beatles. They owe us something for that, don't they? I said, one of the things you can do with the people in your life, and it's strange, this week this has been coming up a lot. Why is that always the way? There's a way you can look at somebody and you say, I take you as my pain in the ass. Because when someone's different than you, sometimes they are a pain in your ass. When they're freaking out about something that you don't care about, you're going, ugh. Don't poke anyone next to you, but you all know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. It's hard. Difference is hard. And yet there's a way to manage it that you become better than you are alone. That gets us to here today. To say, well, okay, but Vince, back to Vince Fowler, you still haven't defined what's toxic, dummy. You told us the bits and pieces, but give me the list, give me the thing, give me the something. Well, here's the thing. Toxicity is as unique as the people we are in relationship with. Let me show you. Imagine, so underneath the social hall over there's a long hallway downstairs that's dark usually at night, especially in the winter. So imagine you're hiding in one of the alcoves there in the dark, and someone's about to walk down that hallway. Let's imagine it's Jeff Jarvis. Loves to laugh. So as he's walking down that hallway, you in the dark, you jump all, you're like, brah, and he's like, brah, and he throws his bags all over the place, he screams, and then he looks at you, and then he starts laughing, and he's like, that was so good. Him and Carmen, those guys, sometimes they'd leave, they're still waiting there. I'm like, how long have you been here? 45 minutes. Still waiting for Jeff to come. Yeah, I'm going to scare him. Okay. So just let me get this straight. This is a good thing, right? They're like, oh, it's so funny. He'll love it. A jester walking down that hallway thinks that's the funniest thing in the world. Toxic? No. Now imagine somebody has high sentry. They're already nervous. They have their keys in, they're doing one of these with the keys. What's the thing where you put them between your fingers, right? They're walking down there, your heart beats like 600,000 beats per second. Someone jumps out, you jump on, you're like, boom, and they're like, bah! And then they stab you, and then they scream all the way out the door. In their car, they're still screaming and hyperventilating, and then they go to therapy for years. Toxic? Yes. This is why all you parents who had one kid, genius, right? You have your first kid and you're like, okay, I'm going to learn my kid. I'm going to figure this all out. And you figure out what's toxic for them and what's not toxic. And you're like, nailed it. I'm like, killer parent. Then some of you all have a second kid. And you think to yourself, oh, I figured this out. I know it's toxic. It's not toxic, right? Doesn't work, does it? Every parent's like, no, it doesn't work. Because what's toxic is as unique as the relationship dynamic. So I can't just say, hey, never scare people walking down the hall. Jerry, Jerry, double lung transplant, cut him in half, called him this week. It's like, hey, Jerry, happy birthday. How you doing? Oh, they're reconstructing my nose. Now, when Jerry says that, he's not joking. There's chances are he's on an operating room table someplace and someone's cutting his nose apart. But he started it by saying, "Can you please give me a clown nose this time?" Let's try that again. Jerry's a jester. If you can laugh, you can do anything to Jerry. And so Jerry says to the surgeon, "Can you please give me a clown nose this time?" Right. You know what he says? He's like, "They didn't even laugh." It didn't care how his nose looked. He's like, "They didn't laugh at my joke." What is this, Jerry? What is toxic is as unique as a person. In Jerry's case, very unique. So I can't just go, "Hey, here's a perfect list." Now, here's where a second part of Emily's message that's genius. Here's the moment. You come up with someone, they bid or do something, and you respond. Now, she taught us how to watch for emotions. If they all of a sudden get really upset, you notice that now, and you go, whoa, just hold on, stop. What just happened? I had that just happen this week. It happened over text, so we lost a bunch of stuff. I sent it a message. The response back was like, "Is that text for me? What's going on here?" Right? You can tell something went wrong. Now, if toxic is defined as things that go into long-term memory, her genius is you can stop it before it goes there. So stop. What just happened? Slow down. Whoa. You're upset. What did you just hear? What did I just say? Okay, let me back that up. It's the beauty of it. Now, you're still thinking what Vince Fowler's thinking, right? Vince, give me the damn list. Well, there is a list, and Joe just preached it. Now, here's the thing. This list isn't arbitrary. Remember, the Gottmans had this thing called a love lab. They brought in couples, and it works for everyone, but they brought in couples. They wired them up with mics, cameras, even heart rate monitors, see how much they sweat. And then they watched them. And sure, that's where they figured out bidding was the core of relationship building, but they saw something else. They saw 4 series or sets of behaviors. Now, here's the thing. They figured out that if you engaged in those behaviors as a couple, they could define whether or not you were going to be divorced in 4 years with a 90% accuracy. Think about that for a second. You invite John Gottman to your house for a dinner party. You're talking with your spouse, and he's doing one of these, and you're going, "Oh, shit. Do we make it or are we not going to make it?" 90% accuracy. These 4 series of behaviors destroy relationships. With partners, with your kids, for your kids, with your parents. Your parents will take a lot more than anyone else, but yeah. With your neighbors, with your colleagues at work. If you do these behaviors, there's a 90% chance that relationship will end. There will be so much toxic stuff stuck in the long-term memory of those people that they will end the relationship with you. Just sit with that for a second. It's fine if it's somebody you don't care about or you don't even like. But if this is someone who lives in your house, this is someone on your team. If you don't want to lose that relationship, these 4 things are worth paying very close attention to. Now, as usual, I'm going to tell them to you, but let me do it this way. The Bible to me, actually religion to me, is early psychology more than anything. It's less about some conception of a divine character and more about humanity, me and you in life. And so I want to tell you these 4 things through biblical stories so you can see them. First one, criticism. There's a story about Mary and Martha. I told it a couple weeks ago, 2 sisters. It's funny. I have an aunt, Mary, and another aunt, Martha. And they kind of get on like Mary and Martha. If you're listening to this, I apologize. Mary and Martha have Jesus and his students over. They're having a big shindig. Mary's hanging out with Jesus. Martha is like host. She is like nest builder. So she is like getting drinks ready, getting food ready. She's just like running. And meanwhile, her sister, who she lives with, is sitting there doing nothing. What are you feeling right now? So Martha pulls Jesus aside, which is funny. Jesus aside. Can you throw the quote up for me? She pulls Jesus aside and she says this to him. Jesus, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. The criticism isn't towards Mary. It's towards Jesus. Don't you care? Not, hey, could you get her to help me? Or, hey, is this dinner party going the way you were hoping for? Like, is that what you're saying? No, don't you care? Criticism, can you throw up the definition for me? Criticism says this. It's an attack on a person's core character or personality rather than a specific behavior. It differs significantly from offering a critique or voicing a complaint. So when I talk about these things, this does not mean we don't bring things up. We bring things up because that's healthy. How we bring them up is the genius of the Gottman system. Start bringing up an issue with criticism. What happens? Just think for yourself. When someone does it to you, they start off with like, you're an idiot, or you're dumb, or you suck, or you always screw up. What happens? Yeah. Can you throw up the first of the list of examples of criticism so we get this in our heads? You never think about anyone but self. You're so completely selfish. Can you see the criticism? Attack on character. Next one for you, Esmond. Can you ever arrive on time, or are you just completely irresponsible? Do not talk to the person next to you. I swear it will not go well. Next one. You are so bad with money, you never think before you spend. Can you see how these attacks? No, but let's go deeper than that. Can you feel that in your mind sometimes? Someone in your life does something, and you go right to, you are a bad person. You have a character flaw. Do you see why we started or ended last week's message with, I take you as my pain in the ass? Instead of going directly to this stuff, what you're looking for is you're going, wait a second, what if this isn't a character issue? What if this is a behavior issue? If someone started with this with you, you're like, are you just completely irresponsible, and then they want you to do something? What are you going to do? Are you going to do anything with it? No, you're going to say, screw you. You suck too. So let's look at the healthy, the skillful way of dealing with it. Can you throw the first one up for me, Esmond? So I did the first one. You never think about anyone but yourself. You're completely selfish. Skillful way. I've been feeling really disconnected and lonely lately. I need us to spend 15 minutes tonight just catching up and talking about how our week's going. Does anyone have, I don't know if I can say it this way, pardon the male pun, have the balls to pull that one off? Can you feel the difference in how that would land? The first one, right? You only ever think about anything about yourself. Do you actually want to hang out with the person? No, you want to get away from them. The second one, I'm thinking about it. Same issue. Totally different approach. Can you throw the next one up for me, Esmond? Can you ever arrive on time, or are you just completely irresponsible? I get really stressed out when we're running late for dinner. Can we aim to leave the house by 6:30? Beautiful. Doesn't mean you're going to say yes to 6:30. You might say, can we do 6:45? Can you say, well, can we start a little bit earlier so that we're not rushed at the end? But can you feel the difference? How you're not switching to, I have to defend myself. You're focused on, how do we do this? One more quick one, Esmond. I'm feeling anxious about our budget this month. Can we sit down tonight and look at our expenses together? Such a different approach. Can you see how criticism puts toxic stuff in long-term memory and haunts us? So let's go back to the story I started with. Martha talking to Jesus. Jesus, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Don't you care, you uncaring Messiah, you? Again, in these stories, he's not that character. He's like, yeah, whatever. Don't you care? Okay, what would be a skillful way of handling this? Just yell it out. Come on.
Mary's attending to the guests.
Sorry?
She's attending to the guests.
Yeah. What do you think she could say to Jesus to get more help?
Would you help me?
Perfect. Jesus, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now. Is there any chance you could give me some hand running drinks? I bet you Jesus has got a ProServe license, right? Should be fine. Can you feel the difference with that, though? Don't you care? Now he's on the defensive. Hey, would you help me? Can you see the difference? As we go through these, here's what I want you to do. Just mentally note which one is your kind of go-to. Oh, yeah, I like that horseman. Yeah. What did Joe had one? Actually, me and Joe have the same horseman. Defensiveness, we'll get to that one in a second. Note which one you tend towards, which way your brain wants to go. Even if you don't say it out loud, what is your brain thinking? Okay, next one. I think it's defensiveness, right? Esmond? Yep, defensiveness. Okay, oh yeah, there we go. Remember I talked about the Adam and Eve story? I talked about it during the sin series, where one of the definitions of sin is this idea of a belief that there's something I lack, and if I could just get that thing, everything will be better. So the walking, talking serpent walks up to Eve and says, well, if you just have this fruit, everything's going to be fine. You'll be awesome. Life will be good. The sin there is lack. Now, let me go to the rest of this part of the story. The character God walks through the garden, which is always a funny metaphor. The character God walks through the story and sits them both down and is like, so, I told you not to eat of the fruit. Did you eat of the fruit? And here's what Adam says. The woman you put here, she gave it to me some fruit and I ate it. It's like, did you fall and like land on the fruit and it like went in your mouth and you're like, I tried to spit it out? No. Can you just see the defensiveness? So then the character God looks at Eve and is like, well, did you eat of the fruit? And she's going like this. It was the serpent. Did the serpent wrestle you down and shove it in your mouth? No. Let's put up the definition of defensiveness. I like it this way. This is how I define defensiveness. It's your fingers out before the conversation's even finished. Someone's like, Vince, I have some feedback for you. It was them. What are we talking about? I don't know yet, but it wasn't me. Second horseman, defensiveness, making excuses, deflecting responsibility, or meeting a complaint with a counter-complaint to play the victim. Don't put up your hand. Any defensive folk in the room? Okay, let's put up some examples quick. Esmond, first one for me. Well, what about this one's too little. You say to somebody, hey, can you do this? Can you pick up the dry cleaning? Well, what about the time you forgot to pick up dry cleaning last week? Someone says, hey, I need you to change something. And the reaction is, you're worse. You did that over there. Don't put up your hand, but anyone? You're like, hey, I'm not going to admit what I did wrong until all this stuff that I can point at is dealt with, and then maybe I'll think about it. That's defensiveness. Next one. I only forgot to text you because my boss completely slammed me with work today. Is that ever going to fly? If your teen texts you that, is that ever going to fly? And yet, we do it, don't we? It wasn't me. It was a serpent. Next one. Sure, go ahead and blame me for how things turned out. I guess I'm just a horrible parent who did everything wrong. Disco, you could switch out parent, brother, sister, colleague, boss, whatever you want. It's I'm not going to take responsibility because I'm a piece of crap and I just am horrible and I probably suck, right? So another way to be defensive. So let's look at skillful ways. First one up, Esmond. What about the time you forgot to pick up the dry cleaning? Is that just me, or is this common? Put it up your hand. Not for you, of course, and not for the person sitting next to you, of course. But have you heard this theoretically in your life? Can you just put up your hand? Is this something you see a lot of in your life? Nothing? No one ever has anyone defensive in their life. You guys are all squirming. Liars. Okay, skillful way. Someone says you did something wrong, and instead of coming back, you say, you're right. I forgot the dry cleaning last night, and that frustrated you, and I'm sorry. Here's the part we sometimes forget. But right now, let's finish talking about this issue so we can fix it. The beauty of defensiveness is you can distract people. The skillful answer says, oh, yeah, I'm going to own the stuff I did wrong. And we're going to come back to the thing that I brought up to start with. You still broke a promise. You still didn't do what you told me to do. You were going to do. Can you feel the difference? Next one for me, Esmond. I only forgot to text you because my boss completely slammed me. You're right, I forgot to text you. I got completely overwhelmed by work. I know this leaves you hanging when I didn't check in. I'm sorry. What would happen if someone said that to you? How would that feel? If someone sent me that, I'd be like, okay, I might be hurt, I might be a little upset, but thank you. Next one for me, Esmond. This is a funny one. The horrible parent. I can see I'm getting overwhelmed and taking this as a total failure. I want to hear your perspective without shutting down or making this all about my feelings. Tell me what you need from me. Any parent who's ever pulled this one off, just write that down. It's totally fine. You can just time out the conversation, be like, hold on a second, I just got 1 second. Tell me if your boss, colleague, neighbor, friend, parent, child, whatever, did that second one. Where would that take the conversation? Okay, let's see what we've learned. Back to the Adam and Eve story. God sits them down and says, Adam, did you eat the fruit? He's pointing before he's finished the sentence. The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from the tree and I ate it. What would be a better line? What's a line that's not defensive? Just yell it out for me. Yeah. Who said that one? Yeah. Yep, that was me. Can you feel the difference though? Right? He's just going, yeah, I did it. I'm sorry. I screwed that up. The pointing does not help. Yep. Write that one down too, just so you know. When you're in that moment, you're about to be defensive. Yep, that was me. Okay, third horseman, stonewalling. Stonewalling is a crazy one. You can't define it in the same way. So there's a story about a guy, we define him as the rich young ruler, means he's wealthy. He comes to Jesus and basically says, how do I live a good spiritual life? Jesus says, follow all the commandments. There's a ton of them. This isn't just the 10 commandments, a whole ton. He's like, yep, nailed them all. Perfect. Jesus says, okay, sell everything you have and come be my student. Remember, we know one thing about him. He's loaded. And Jesus says, sell everything you have. This is what happens in the story. He doesn't respond. He doesn't say, Jesus, that's really hard. Okay, wait, do you mean like pre-tax income I have to get rid of, or like post-tax income? Like, what are we dealing with here? Like, where are my RSPs in this whole conversation? None of that. He just walks away. It's called stonewalling. Can you throw the definition up for me? Completely withdrawing from the interaction, shutting down, stopping responses, or turning away. We learned this already in bidding. The turn away is more damaging to the relationship than the turn against. Stonewalling is the action of turning away. Now, here's the thing, though. Most people are not weaponizing this. Some do, but most people are not. Gottmans realized, because remember, they have everyone in a lab with like pulse meters on them. Most people stonewall because they're freaking out. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to interact. They're going, well, I'm going to scream and yell, or I don't even know what to say. Whatever I say is going to be wrong. Or the antidote to stonewalling is not a clever sentence that you write down in your phone and use next time you have a problem. The antidote to stonewalling is realizing, oh, wait, I am getting overwhelmed. You know that feeling in your brain where it's like it's getting louder and louder and louder, and it feels like it's just going to either blow up or shut down or something? The way you deal with this, horseman, is you realize this is coming. I need to stop this. Now, it'll show up in a bunch of different ways. Can you just throw the list up for me? Stonewalling behaviors, avoiding eye contact, stone face, closed body position, monosyllabic responses, abrupt changes in topic, silent treatment, pretending to have something urgent to do, physical exit without a plan. It's like my playbook right there. That's great. That's this. Remember, these are all things that will destroy relationships. Doesn't matter if you're a kid, your partner, your friend. So what do you do before that? If you feel yourself going to the stonewall, you feel yourself getting overwhelmed. Just this week, someone stonewalled me. I was so mad. Then I heard my own voice saying, Vince, they're just overwhelmed. And I was like, son of a... I want to put intent. They're doing this deliberately to hurt me. No, chances are they're overwhelmed. So what do? Your neighbor just cut down that branch of your tree, that's your prized tree, and it's over their fence, but geez. What do? Gottman says, this is what you do. First, you notice that it's happening. Can you go up the next list for me? Notice before you're completely flooded. Once you're flooded, you're screwed. Sorry, you're screwed. We know enough about the brain that once your brain's overwhelmed, it shuts off, and you can't get it back for a time. If you think, I'm just going to let this go, I'm just going to let myself get dysregulated, and then I'll handle this well. So first thing you do is you take a break. You need 20 to 30 minutes. You don't just walk away like the rich young ruler. What you do is you say, I'm getting overwhelmed and I'm about to handle this poorly. I need like half an hour to just get my brain back online. I will come right back. And then you just walk away. Now, once you're away, here's what you do. You can do box breathing, belly breathing. Any breathers? I'm a big fan of this. I was just doing it before I came up. It regulates me, calms me. Next one. Tense and relax. Hold your whole body just like this. And then relax it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get your heart rate back down again, get your brain back online. So you can be like, wait a second, what's going on here? How can I be skillful? Next one. Temperature shock. This is why you splash cold water on your face. I bet you jumping naked into freezing water would also work. So if that's your thing, try that one. Next one. Go for a walk. Not as good as jumping naked into a pool, but whatever. Ground yourself. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is a way of just getting yourself out of the moment and looking around. Final one. Read a book. Here's what you don't do. You don't sit and mull over the conversation. Oh, I can't believe they said that. Oh, they're going to say this. Oh, stupid. Oh. Calm. Okay, let's go back to Jesus and the rich young ruler. When you're starting to feel overwhelmed, when you can feel yourself heading towards stonewalling, what is the way that you regulate? Is it breathing? Is it going for a walk? Do you know yours? If you can see it ahead of time before you get overwhelmed, you have a chance of not just stonewalling. Again, remember, that's the toxic stuff that gets stored in long-term memory that will destroy a relationship. I have one last one. It's going to be quick. It's the humdinger. This one is contempt. There's a story about King David. Remember King David of David and Goliath? Anyone heard of David and Goliath? Yeah, famous story, right? Well, something good happens in his kingdom. Assume it's like his team wins the soccer thing. What's the thing we're doing right now? World Cup. I nailed it. I got it. Come on. No judgment. You take me as a pain in the ass. It's okay. We're fine. King David's team wins the World Cup. He's like so excited, he like gets into his dancing clothes, which is like his gitch, and then he heads out of town, and this is serious. He heads out and he just starts dancing his butt off to celebrate. Like this is like Red Mile times a bunch. And his daughter, probably a teenager, sees him. And this is what the text says. It says, this is what she thought in her heart. She despised him in her heart. So embarrassing. Oh. Next one. So this is when David finally comes home. This is what his daughter says to him. How the king of Israel has distinguished himself today, going around half naked in full view of the slave girls, as any vulgar fellow would do. Here's the definition of contempt. Contempt is criticism with a layer of moral superiority over top of that. You suck, I'm better. Ugh, you're not doing your work. I'm doing my work. Can you throw up the list of contempt statements for me? Partner, tired after a long day. Oh, you're tired. Please. I've been running a household and managing actual budgets all day while you sat in meetings playing on your phone. You wouldn't survive a single day in my shoes. That's contempt. Can you feel the moral superiority? Next one for me. Friend shares an accomplishment. They've run, like they finished a 5K race. Eye roll. Don't put up your hand, but the eye rollers in the room? Kind of a tell. Eye roll. Wow, look at you, a regular Olympian athlete. Do you want a gold medal for jogging slow or just a cookie? Next one for me. Bad idea. Did you actually spend time preparing for this, or did you just put these ridiculous ideas out of thin air 10 minutes ago? Now, even if you don't say it, anyone think those thoughts? No. When the Gottmans looked at this, contempt they called the sulfuric acid for relationships. They said, on contempt alone, I can predict the end of your relationship. I can predict that your kid will go no contact with you. I can predict that your boss will end your working relationship. I can predict it all on this one. And yet our inside voices are often thinking exactly that. So let's look at the skillful way. First one for me. After a long day, you saw the first one like, oh. What if you said this? I know we both work incredibly hard and are totally exhausted by the end of the day. We both have pushed hard lately. Right now, I'm feeling really drained and overwhelmed by the household chores. Can we figure out a way to split the evening tasks so we can both relax? First, who says that? Second, how can I make sure that I say that next time? How skillful is that? Here's the thing. Gottmans realized that when you look at another human being, if you say something negative to them, and then you say something positive to them, those aren't equal in balance in people's lives, in their relationships. In fact, you need 5 positive things to count to 1 negative thing. Go through your core relationships right now and ask yourself, have I got 5 positive things that I've said out loud to that human for every 1 negative thing I've said? The antidote to contempt is seeing the positive pieces. Not perfection, not all that. That's just another way to handle it. It's seeing, actually, they put away the dishes. Actually, they mowed my lawn when I was out of town. Actually, that guy normally hits it out of the park. Just today, I think he's having a bad day. When I look at the 5-to-1 rule, I realize even if I don't mean contempt, chances are that's how it's coming across. Okay, so you're Michael. I want you to all embrace your 14-year-old teenage girl. Your dad's just done something horribly embarrassing. Do not look at your dad if you're sitting next to him. What do you say? It's not this. It's not zip it. What do you say? Throw something else. Let's try this. Try and say 5 positive things. If David was your dad, 5 positive things about him dancing to the World Cup in his underwear on the street. Throw out something positive. Look great in your underwear. Dad bod, nailing it. I love it. What else? What was that? Just be happy you won the war. Number 2, love it. What else? This is hard, isn't it? Let it out, man. Have your moment. How about you dance good, Dad? That's not bad. Okay, when we start thinking, Dad, you have good hair, we're running out of problems here, right? Can you see how hard it is? Try this. Before you use a contempt statement with someone, say 5 positive things about them in your head or out loud, preferably out loud. Think of that. Before you say to your partner, hey, why do you keep not doing? I see you trying. I see you crushing it in this part of our relationship. You're an incredible this. I love how you handle that. This is beautiful. Now bring up the thing that's missing. Can you feel the difference? Okay, I've gone long and ice cream is waiting. Let me wrap it this way. Just don't do these. I can beat around the bush all day long, but if that relationship matters to you, this will destroy it. Those 4 things: criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, contempt. They will destroy the relationship that you want. Why do we care bigger? Can you throw up the model for me? We believe in this whole thing we call this our spiritual journey model. When we're in the I against them, the bottom core, this is the horseman stuff. You're fighting against the people. You're not trying to figure out how to work together. You're going you do it. No, you screwed up. You have to fix that because you're making me upset. I can't do that when you're not catching my sadness. I against them. Next one up. This is what we've been trying to get you to. Have you ever been at a party where a couple just showed up and they just had a banger in the car? They just were fighting tooth and nail. And they walk in and they're and their eyes are not smiling and you're all eesh. This I against them relationship sucks everything out of us. It takes everything from us. We become obsessed with that part of our lives. There's nothing left. When we're in and this is why I care so deeply about it, when our relationships are healthy, we have so much capacity for more. This whole idea of taking water, it rests on us having healthy relationships, win-win, reciprocal, honoring. We're talking the Beatles, not John Lennon hating Paul McCartney. The Beatles. When you don't do this, your entire life gets sucked into the black hole of I against them. I want us changing the world. To do that, this needs to be healthy. And I don't know about you, but freaking hell, being an I against them sucks. I have a relationship right now that's a bit I against them. I was dirt biking. I could not go fast enough to get that out of my head. It will eat you from the inside. May we be a skillful community with all relationships so that we have capacity to take water to the world. Amen? Let's ice cream. Thanks, everybody.